Hi, so this is Dylan Snow with my project, which is After the Bell, and I'm here with.
Naomi Prado.
Okay, and then we're going to be talking about visual art and specifically probably more painting than anything else. So I want to start by asking her, what inspired you to get into visual art as a platform and media?
I've always loved visual arts, like ever since I was 3 years old. And I started to really focus on it when I came to this school. At first, I didn't know that Natoma's Charter was an art school, but it really worked out. And I used to be more into music, but I really found my passion in painting when it came to like showing my emotions and expressing myself. So once I got past like people saying that visual arts isn't really a serious like career choice, I really dive deep into trying to make it work.
Okay. My follow up question would be, what continues to inspire you as you move forward in your journey? Because starting from 3 years old is a long time so far, so there has to be, obviously something that keeps you going.
Well, there are different things. Visual arts for me is a lot like therapy, and it's helped me get through like different stages of my life. And I would consider myself like an artist in general. Like I do love the other art forms, but I do have a very strong connection to visual arts, and I think what like allows me to persevere is always trying like new things and always trying to discover myself in the artwork.
So when you're actively creating work and especially large scale stuff, because I know I've seen stuff like your mural and I've seen other larger pieces like the American Artist,
Mhm.
and I always have to wonder, well, two things. First of all, like what are the challenges that come with that? Because I know there are challenges, and then second of all would be I feel like this is very typical of someone who has not done a lot of visual art media, but I will ask, how is it that you get from the visual element mentally into translating it? So, I mean, obviously part of it is practice, but is there like another part to it?
When it comes to the sizing of the canvases, um one thing that I've been constantly working on, especially from junior to senior year, is making bigger pieces. So that was purposeful, and the kind of struggles with that would be like transporting the pieces, and also due to it being larger scale, I do have to put in way more work, and like physically it is demanding. Um what was the second part of your
And the
question?
second part was like, what are like common challenges that come with the art form?
That come with
Hmm.
visual arts.
Hmm.
Oh, and basically like the translating it from
Hmm.
mental to physical.
Yeah.
I a lot of it has to, well, at first what I noticed, because I did notice that what I saw in my head wouldn't actually be what I put on paper when I did start out as an artist, and that was very stressful because I was like, why isn't it working right? And there are a lot of different factors when it comes to that, such as technique and even like the muscles in your hands. So really, like even though the outcome isn't what you want it to be yet when it comes to the artwork that you're making, try not to be too hard on yourself and keep going, because one day like you will get something that looks like what you're imagining in your head. And it's okay when it doesn't turn out that way, because like you can save that idea for another time, you know? Like you never truly have to stop working on pieces.
Yeah, I think there's like the big benefit of visual media stuff is that not everyone has to see your worst or even your second worst, even your third worst piece or version of it. Like your example, your sketch. I mean, like when you're doing stuff like music or dance, it feels like you have to make your best. I'm trying to translate this into visual. So your best
Mhm.
sketch every single time, or your best version of the piece every single time because it's on display. But I think it's interesting because it's like it might not be that way for visual art, but it feels like you have to nail it at least perfectly once
Yeah.
because I mean, actually I take that back a little bit because if you're doing stuff like a mural or like some painting where it's harder to reverse what you've done, especially if you only have like a couple of available spaces to do it, I guess it is still difficult, I imagine, to actually get it perfect that time. I'll give it to you if you want to think about it. I don't know.
And when it comes to like perfection, it does vary between artist and artist, you know? There's a mentality to it. Like for a lot of the pieces that I've shown and showcased here at school, some of them I don't really even considered finished yet. Even though like there's like the paint covers the whole canvas, I feel like I could go back and work on it some more. But even then, like some of the pieces that I like thought critically of and I was like, "Oh, I could have done better." I've actually like heard a lot of people say, "Oh, I love that one." So, you know, like there is a lot that happens like back scenes that people don't see. Like there are like many sketches beforehand and basically like the in-betweens before heading to like the final um the final artwork, you know? And it isn't really recognized that much when it's on display, but it does take a lot of work.
I think there's a bit of a similarity that I'm noticing. You could correct me if I'm wrong between music and visual art when it comes to time management. So what I'll say is that when I've talked to other people about it, like when I talked to Amari, it seemed like there was a pattern of when you're actually locked in, you want to be locked in. Like it's really hard for you to break away because you just want to be able to keep pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing until you actually get the version that you're happy with. And that's when you're willing to let it go. And at least for him, he was saying he could be up at like 11 p.m. just finally cracking and getting it done, and then he'll let himself go to bed. Is there like a similar sort of story?
Yeah, most definitely. And actually, I played piano for like 4 years. So like there I do see the the dedication between music and visual arts. Um yeah, there's even art pieces that I've had for more than 3 years and I'm like that one's not done yet. I need to work on it some more. And even like the mural that I'm working on at school, it's really hard to leave campus because I always want to keep working on it.
Yeah.
And there's there's even times, like, when I have pieces at home where I'll work on it for, like, 12 hours in one day, and I'll only stop to, like, eat or go to sleep. Like, it really once you're in that zone, you really wanna stay there. Yeah.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I think it might be just that I'll take a guess. I'll say it might be that it's not always capable of being in that zone, especially with all our forms. I mean, it's a variety of reasons, but I feel like maybe what it is like you're trying to capture the moment, but I don't know. I think it might be a similar situation with music. Also, again, I already
Mhm.
mentioned it, but I think another solution might just be not being a perfectionist. So I don't know if there is one for someone who's actually looking to improve. I think it might be part of the struggle with the art. I could be wrong. I think it sounds to me, at least based off what I'm hearing from you, that musicians and artists both have the same problem, which is improving means some sacrifice and pain. As I think I might mention this with Amari as well, is that there's sacrifice that comes with improvement, but then also it's hard to not want to improve when you actually love what you're doing. Sound about right?
Yeah.
So yeah. Okay. Um I'll wrap up this up for you and I'll say if you're talking to a freshman or someone potentially maybe even a junior or a sophomore, someone who's wants to change their art form or get into a new one, in this case visual art, is there a specific thing that you would tell them, get advice to, or just give them a general sense of like a feeling going into it so that they feel less intimidated or willing to enter it?
Going into visual arts.
Hmm.
Um, one thing that I do wanna say is that if you are looking to pursue visual arts, is that being an artist is your identity. And, although it may not, like, be your whole identity, don't let anybody make you feel like you're an imposter. And, even then, like, you don't necessarily have to sacrifice the other art forms if you're into something else. And at the end of the day, don't focus too much on comparing yourself to other artists. Like, you are where you are and focus on your progression. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'll say I think all the art I've seen from you is impressive on a very serious note. I saw you with American Artists. I've seen the mural. I've seen some other pieces that you've made in general, just whether it be painting or I think I've seen you do ceramics, unless I'm
Mhm.
crazy. Okay, I'm just double checking. I've seen your ceramic pieces. They're all really incredible. And and I hope that I get to see even more from you. So thank you.
Thank you.